There's a line from Proverbs that I've been quoting for years. Iron sharpeth iron, so a man sharpeth the countenance of his friend. Solomon wrote that almost 3,000 years ago. He'd built an empire. He had everything most men spend their lives chasing. And out of all the wisdom that he sat down to write, he made sure to leave that last line behind for all of us. Iron sharpens iron. I've said it to other men for years. I believed it for years. I've nodded along with it the way you nod along with something you already know is true. But sitting at the coast this weekend, it hit me on a level it hasn't hit me before. Same line, same words, different man hearing them. That's the strange thing about truths a man carries the longest. You don't outgrow them. They outgrow you. You think you understand a sentence at 40, and at 50 it cracks open and shows you another floor, completely another floor underneath. The words didn't change, you change. And the sentence keeps waiting for us to catch up to what it's been saying the entire time. I've been quoting iron sharpens iron for years because I felt it. Men in my life have sharpened me. I've sharpened men. I knew the line was real because I'd lived it. What I'm only now starting to understand is the full weight of what Solomon meant. He's not saying it's nice to have good friends. He's not saying find your tribe. What he's really saying is that a man cannot become his sharpest self in isolation. He becomes it in the company of other men who have edges of their own. Two pieces of soft metal don't sharpen each other. Two flat stones don't either. It takes something hard meeting something hard with friction, with intention for either one to come out sharper than it went in. That's brotherhood. That's what it actually is. Not standing ground and agreeing with each other all the time. Not nodding along while a man talks himself out of his own truth. Not the soft kind of friendship that makes everybody comfortable and nobody better. Iron meeting iron with heat between. And I'm sitting with the realization 3,000 years after he wrote it, 18 months into rebuilding my own life, that I've been carrying this line my whole adult life and only now understanding the architecture beneath it. I had iron in my life growing up. The men in my world were sharp men, and they didn't tiptoe around each other. I've had it lose its shape on me at times, when life changed and the men around me changed, and the friction wasn't there anymore. And I've had to learn the hard way, the way most things worth learning come, that a man without iron in his life starts to dull. It happens slow. You don't notice it until one day you realize you've been making excuses for things you used to call yourself out on. Letting yourself off easy, going through the motions instead of pressing into the work, telling yourself you're fine when you know you're not. That's what happens to iron when it sits too long. It rusts. I know it because I've seen it happen to men that I love. I know it because I've felt the edges go soft on myself in seasons where the right men weren't in close. I know it because I've come back from those seasons by continually seeking out the iron that was missing. That's what this line's all about. And I'm only now getting it in the way Solomon meant it. Solomon wasn't writing a self-help book. He was writing about the architecture of how a man stays sharp across decades. And he put it as a fact. Iron sharpens iron, not a suggestion. Same way he wrote about the rich man's wealth in his strong city, or that a good name is rather to be chosen than riches. These are statements of how the world works, not advice that you can take or leave. He's saying if you want to stay sharp, you need other sharp men in your life, period. I've believed it all the way down for years, but there's a difference between believing something and understanding it. And what's hitting me this weekend is the understanding part. The men who've sharpened me the most weren't the ones that told me I was great. They were the ones that told me when I was off course. The ones who didn't let me hide behind a story I was telling myself. The ones who showed up at the right moment and said the thing nobody else in my life was willing to say. Sometimes a single sentence from the right brother can save a year of drift. That's iron meeting iron. That's the gift. And the opposite's true too. The hardest thing about being a man at 40, 50, 60 years old is realizing that the men around you might not be sharp enough anymore to do the work, or you might not be sharp enough anymore. Both can be true at the same time. And when both are true, something honest has to give. You don't abandon people, but you start to understand why some men start to quietly seek out other rooms. Why a man that's serious about the next 40 years of his life starts looking for brothers who are serious about theirs. It's not betrayal. It's iron knowing what iron needs. Here's where I've landed. Every man building something real needs a small handful of men in his life who can do this work with him. Not many, not a network, not a contact list, not a handful. Many can call when the wheels are coming off. And they'll tell him the truth instead of what he wants to hear. Men whose patterns he respects. Men who are doing their own work, in their own lanes, and don't need his permission to keep going. That's the room. If you don't have it yet, that's okay. A lot of grown men don't. Most men coast through their 40s and 50s on friendships built around shared schedules instead of shared standards. The poker night, the work crew, the buddies from way back. None of that's wrong, but it's not iron meeting iron. It's company, and there's a difference. If you do have it, guard it. Show up for those men. Let them sharpen you back. The work goes both ways, or it does not go at all. If you're somewhere in between, still figuring out who your iron is, who's actually sharpening you, who you're actually sharpening, start paying attention to the way the right men leave you feeling. Sharper, clearer, more yourself, not less. That's the test. Not how comfortable they make you, how honed you are after you sit with them. I'm 53 years old, and I have quoted iron sharpens iron for decades. To brothers in my club, to men I've coached, to my own kids. I've believed it, I've lived it, I've taught it. And I'm only now, as I'm sitting here on the coast, starting to understand what Solomon was actually saying when he wrote it down. That's the part that keeps catching me. Sometimes the truths we carry the longest are the ones that take the longest to fully reveal themselves. They don't show up in one piece. They unfold over years. You think you know what a sentence means at 30, and then you realize at 50, it was holding something back, waiting for you to be ready for the rest of it. Solomon left that line for us. Iron sharpens iron. Some things take a lifetime to prove themselves, and some things were already true the first time somebody said them. My name's Aaron Myra, and I'm still building.